Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live here on our comfy couch from the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon Reviews for January 5th, 2020 with your host, Spacebaker2448, and Ramp It Up, Salon.
Hi.
Guess what I forgot to do in the notes?
Update the dates.
Most of the dates. The first one's right. I keep forgetting to do that part.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should just drop that.
That might not hurt. That way you don't keep forgetting, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like, I guess technically you ought to at least do it for the movie next week, and then that'd be it.
Do it. Yeah, do them for the movies at least, but for the show episodes, maybe just do the month or months they were in.
Maybe.
Or at the very least, what volume this is, since we more or less end up doing the DVD volume format. Because quite literally, since we do 4 episodes at a time, that's the amount of episodes that are on the DVDs for Rider. So we often cover it a DVD at a time.
Hold on.
Oh god, they're on to the boss fight I absolutely hate in Hyrule Warriors. For reference, the Skyward Sword speedrun for GDQ is on at the moment, and I just look over and I see the imprisoned one, and I'm like, fuck that asshole, I hate him. He's the worst thing in Hyrule Warriors. The worst. Anywho, it's the final 4 episodes of Fourze. This is it. Except for one movie, and then we move over to a questionable series. So how are you feeling going into this?
Oh boy, everything's fixing to hit the fan.
I was telling this on the pre-show earlier, but this was my first live finale. Because Fourze was my first week-to-week show. And I'll tell you this much. This finale's still really good for me. Damn.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this finale's up there. Gotta give it that.
Like, if this doesn't cement to you that Gintro is a grade A badass and one of the better main writers we've ever gotten in this franchise, I don't know what will. Because, damn. So good. Anyway. Anything else before we get into the episodes proper?
No?
Haven't gotten to watch 01 for the week yet?
Yeah, I actually have.
Oh. I'm not gonna lie, I love Arto's sly fuck you remark from this episode.
I've also got to say, Fourze is like, as weird as this can be said, a more egocentric Ganem. And I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, he kind of is.
Like, I didn't think that anyone could top him, but I think we actually have someone that can top him.
Yeah, and I love that he's got so much ego, but it's not in this over the top way. It's more of this, oh, you reek of corporate bullshit. Oh, I hate you on screen every time I see you.
And I almost feel like we see the reason why we're getting the corrupt Huma gears now, but the show's not really addressed it yet.
I have a feeling that the assault grip gave the Arc a backdoor into the Zaya satellite, and by extension, the Humagears.
Maybe. I don't think it's that, though. I think it has to do with our new rider.
Oh, do you think Bowser's behind it?
Maybe not necessarily behind it, but maybe he's the reason for it.
That would make sense because because it's weird that this episode calls to attention that these don't have the Zetsubo risers, but you can clearly see in the week before that the two that attacked didn't have them.
Well, keep in mind too, the ones from the last episode was more of a surprise to everyone.
Right.
It was a case of they were like, wait a minute, it's happening still? What? So, I mean, I can understand that being one of those missed details there.
Yeah. Well, I like that's a detail for the audience to pick up on if they're paying attention. But then the next week, okay, our cast is caught up now. Our cast actually will notice the detail that the audience has now noticed. And if you haven't noticed, here's your clear indication that, oh, that wasn't just a coincidence. That is a plot point.
But the main reason that I kind of feel like it might be it might be something to do with Fourze, is because wasn't his belt technically ready last episode?
I think it's been ready for a couple weeks.
So it seems kind of weird. We technically could have had Fourze before now, but we don't. And the same episode that we draw the line with, hey, these don't have the Zetsumarizers, it's like, that seems like it might be either his doing or a accident because of something he has done. Because
to be fair,
his driver actually does merge the gap between the two.
To be fair, he's already admitted that he drove the Arc fucking insane by showing him the dredges of humanity. He's admitted that he's the one responsible for that. Which, I believe by Hirobi's dialogue this week, means that he's responsible for Daybreak Town. Great. Which feels like, well,
I'm still not sold on he's gonna be anywhere remotely close to Final Villain.
I have seen people say that the Arc itself will be Final Villain, or at least are hoping the Arc's a Final Villain, and then weirdly makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Also, I love how my playlist for streams now gives me 12 days of Payday Christmas. Little late on that one playlist. Although I think I skipped it one day last month. But I also have another theory, and it's... Okay, I've told you how the 01 driver has an expansion slot like the Bill driver, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's on the same side that Fourze puts in his Zetsumo Rise key. Now, I don't know if the slots are the same size or what, but I'm kind of looking at that and going, Aruto's already used someone else's upgrade to upgrade himself in a combination form. And considering that slot, we know how that slot operates. And that it gives what is more or less a new standby sound, but kind of a normal transformation in a sense, because it operates with any other progress key. It makes me go, I wonder if Bowser's going to make something for himself and Arto's going to jack it. Especially since Bowser's entire thing right now is jacking everything Arto has.
Quite literally, actually.
Yeah. That makes too much sense. I also love how, I don't know if it's intended or not, but him making Yaiba not fight the Maverick, but instead fighting it himself is one of those, no, you don't get to fight. I get to fight. Your job's not to fight anymore. It's supposed to be one more, like, notch to make you hate him.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I'm all for that.
Truthfully, that might also be why a lot of the scans excluded her. Might be a case of this next little piece we're going to be dealing with. He's not going to let her go into fights.
Well, she's fighting next week. Because she's spotted in the preview fighting Vulcan. For reasons we don't know yet, because it's literally one shot, and all we see is just her shooting him in the stomach. And they're both in their base form, so however this shakes out, who knows, but she transforms next week. And I believe she'll make it to Metal Cluster Hopper next month, because she's on the images for Metal Cluster Hopper. Let me check that.
I'm kind of getting this weird vibe that we're actually not going to lose her, but she's going to be more of a lower end character by the time we get late game.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, her and Hirobi are on there, which makes sense for our current lineup of characters since Jin's out of play until March. Because that's when we get the Burning Jin progress key. Or not the Burning Jin, Burning Falcon progress key. So I'm like, okay, she's still around because she's shown in Lightning Hornet on that image with Metal Cluster. The Metal Cluster doesn't come out till next month. So she's still here. She'll probably still be relevant. I'm assuming her character arc is going to be, okay, how much shit am I going to deal with my boss before I end up leaving?
Yeah, because we kind of already are seeing a little piece of that. Because Aruta really was striking a nerve. And you could tell it.
There's that, and the previews already confirmed that whoever is giving out the raid risers is female. I want to say quote unquote female because Toei's pulled this fucking. It has this echoey voice, but that may not actually be the gender of the actor at all, or even that same person. Because it's the same style too. But people are speculating that, like, okay, if this person is not connected to Zaya, what if that's the missing Metsubo Jinrai person?
I could see that. Unless they just kind of play that under the table and use that as like a, oh yeah, you forgot about this late show kind of deal.
I could see it very much just being in the background till late show.
Kind of being that whole, oh yeah, you forgot about this, didn't you?
That, or at least late in this arc, since Hirobi is locked up, and I'm just like, I wonder if he's gonna secretly get in contact with whoever is the missing member, and that person breaks him out. we are in a very interesting place in 01 because oddly it feels like we are back at episode 1, but it's like arc 2 episode 1 where we've been given a lot of questions because we have the brand new status quo.
You mean it's almost like they took a page from Kamen?
Yeah. Yeah, 01. Really good. Also, funny enough, next week for Ryusoker, guess who from Fourze is going to be making a guest appearance?
Who?
Miyu.
Ah.
Miyu's making a guest appearance as a set builder, I think, or someone attached to some movie making thing. Because I saw her and I'm just like, wait, that's Miyu? Wow, she's really changed in 8 years. Anything else?
No.
All right, so let's take a look at episodes 45 through 48. They debuted August 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th of 2012. And we're going to kick things off with episode 45, Scales Estrangement. We kick off with Kengo in the club celebrating his 18th birthday, with Yuki arriving late by a hair, somehow.
By a lot more than a hair.
Yeah. But everyone's happy and such. Kengo's got a new key holder, which that's a very large key holder. I don't think you need a key holder that large, but okay, sure.
Yeah, very true.
But he gets that with all the club members on them in a little chibi cartoon form as a birthday present. And as an extra celebration, Gamao is here making soup that's going to be put on the menu because it's a thing. He's here for reasons, I guess.
Yeah, important reasons.
Yeah. But it's a hit with the club. And Gentro decides, I'm going to befriend Gamao now, officially. But he declines because he prefers solo play.
He has no need for friends.
Yep. This is where Kengo suffers a severe version of one of his illness attacks, which we haven't had in several dozen episodes, I think.
Several dozen episodes and a movie.
Yeah. Several of those episodes in a movie. But this prompts Gamao to have a flashback to 20 years ago when him and Kengo's dad found the core switch on the moon. Which, that's important.
Yeah, super important.
Mm-hmm. But later on, we check in with Gentro and Yuki as they're visiting Ran and Haru at the hospital. Gentro gets a flip by Ran for old time's sake, since he decided to sneak up on her again.
You'd think he'd learn.
Apparently not. Unless he just likes getting flipped because he's slowly learning Aikido by getting flipped.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him at all.
Yeah. But Haru's almost healed up and ready to leave, which our club soon leaves the hospital, and once they're outside, Hayame shows up, needing to take Ran immediately to the airport for a study abroad thing in America, like now, like right now. Like we can't have a conversation about this. We gotta go now, which is, totally not suspicious.
At all.
Nope. So Yuki is happy to see her off, but Gentro is very obviously suspicious because this makes no sense. But while Hayame and Ran are on the road, they're attacked by Leo. meaning the two of them have to pull over and run to a beach. As we find out that Hayame has pulled a traitor in order to protect the last horoscope from arriving, which is, of course, Ran, because she's Pisces. This is what I was talking about last week. She got one of the water switches in the movie.
Ah.
I forget which one. I think it was Screw. It was either Screw or Freeze. But more or less, she got one of the water ones, and that was like the subtle nod to the fact that she will become Pisces. So yeah, with Rand being targeted to be activating a switch, Hayame, who after Gentaro arrives to see all this, turns into Libra and immediately asks Gentaro for help. And just for reference, Hayame is just out to save himself. Not even altruistic reasons. No, he's doing this because he doesn't want to be murdered because he's going to be useless after this.
And I'll touch on it more, but this arc really makes you hate a certain person by the time it's said and done. Like straight up.
Yeah.
And like I said, we'll touch that later because, yeah, I see you're cleverly dancing around that fact, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. So Gentaro was like, fine, okay, as he's surprised that Hayame is Libra. So, fuck it, I'm fighting with him. And the two of them fight off Leo, and he runs away. So Hayame is now ready to tell the club everything. And of course, Rand doesn't trust him. For good reason, since he's the one who distributed the switches, including the one directly to Haru. Mm-hmm. So, you know. Like I said, he's not doing this for altruistic reasons. Even though he says later he's doing this to atone for his sins, which is bullshit. It contradicts what he said earlier.
Yeah.
But anyway, Gentaro's at least willing to hear him out. Because Gentaro at least tries to believe in everybody. At least once.
And unfortunately is, like, super gullible.
Yeah. That's why I say once, because what happens later makes him pissed.
Yeah. And for good reason.
Uh-huh.
For, like, super good reason.
So, off at a separate location, which is the theater club area that I think is also in the Guidance, like the second one with Knuckle. Because I think this is where Knuckle fights Black Baron. I think this is the same location, but anyway, we've seen this location before because it's where Tauros did the competitions and stuff against Gentaro and Jake, and I feel like we've seen this somewhere else in Fourze. Oh, this is where Jake's concert was.
Yeah.
So this is like a recurring location for Fourze, but I'm like, this was also in Gaim. So this is where we find out that Gamao more or less founded a school to experiment on the students to get his 12 horoscope switches, which is a thing I kept bringing up when Geo kept putting out there that's like, oh, the villains get eliminated, and I'm like, well, who built the school then? Because that's the entire point of the school. Yep. If you get rid of the villains, we have no school.
And if you okay. The other thing is you also have to go back even farther than that based on what we find out by the end of it. So it's like, yeah, there's so much you've got to just make poof not exist anymore for Geo to be right.
Nobody did their continuity homework. And a series that should have done their continuity homework.
Or at least sat down and asked, can we do this? No, it breaks continuity because of this. Okay, can we do it this way then? Because, I mean, they probably could have tweaked certain things and made that work better, but it's like, the way they did it, nope. Just
Unfortunately,
nope.
I think getting rid of the villains causes a cascading domino effect that more or less eliminates anything from Fourze. Like,
Yeah.
you obliterate every aspect of Fourze if you get rid of the villains. Because Ryusei has no reason to be at the school.
Or even ability to be a rider.
Yeah, the club has no reason to form, let alone change over the course of the series like we've seen, or be friends with each other. Kengo has no reason to exist.
I mean,
As we'll find out.
We haven't gotten that far yet, but yes.
Yeah. It's just like, there are so many problems here that I'm just like, you've obliterated Fourze from existence.
Fourze and everything tied to it, technically.
Yeah.
Which, God, now I'm thinking about that, that also kills the crossover movies at the same time, too.
Yeah, you know those really good crossover movies that are the best crossover movies that are better than every episode of Fourze in terms of crossover material?
Which, you know, in theory, does that also mean that it kind of retroactively hurts other shows that are even loosely tied?
Yes, because it means you get rid of Aqua, which means you get rid of Oza's epilogue.
Way to go. Way to go. You managed to not only just screw one show, but more than one while you're at it. Way to go.
This
Good
is
work, Gio.
This is why I can't like Gio, because I know continuity too much for me to just go, oh yeah, you totally didn't just cause a domino effect of nonsense. I can't overlook this. Because other shows did it better. Anyway, back to the show. We find out that this whole gathering of the 12 horoscope switches will create a warp gate with the Dark Nebula, which is actually a real thing and not just some fake made-up warp gate that Virgo did. That will allow...
Which, now I've got a problem. Like, now I have a super big problem.
Yeah.
Shouldn't Kamau have known better?
I think it's one of those cases of just like, I let it, he's letting it slide because he's just like, oh, I know you're just dunking them somewhere.
You see my point, though.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if that is the end game, then by having one that could do that, wouldn't that have just solved his problem right there?
Yeah. Maybe it's not a big enough one.
Except it's been big enough to, you know, take everyone else away.
True. But yeah, opening this large of a warp gate would more or less obliterate Japan. All of Japan. Like the entire country.
Yeah, I love that it's not just, just the area they're in. No, the entire area.
Yeah.
Just all of Japan, poof.
So yeah, this more or less means we need to stop Ram from activating the switch. So that's priority one. Priority two, as Ryusei points out, is maybe we shouldn't be super trusting of our principal, who is also a bad guy. So he gets him to hand over his horoscope switch. So,
you know, the smart and responsible thing to do there.
Yep. So for now, they're just going to try to hide Ran. So they hold her up at Miyu's because I guess it's the biggest place they've got. And maybe the most secure. I don't know.
Probably is, truthfully.
Yep, and with the two of them is Shin, Tomoko, Ryu, and Gentaro. Unfortunately, as we soon see, when Leo turned into Aquarius in the previous fight, he dumped a piece of Aquarius into Rand's pocket, meaning he could follow that directly to their location. Shit.
Yep, whoops.
Meanwhile, Kengo, Jake, and Hayame are looking around for clues in Emoto's office. And Kengo ends up finding one after he has another of his illness attacks. So...
And he also makes sure that he's the only one that knows about it.
Yep. Meanwhile, we go back to the others, and Leo proceeds to attack the group. First by putting like the other three people in this group that are not important to sleep with Capricorn. Which I'm like that this is the first time he's tried that. But then outside, Yuki and Ran run away while Gentaro and Ryusei try to fight Leo, but end up fighting his enhanced versions of his goons, which are just, here are some dust darts and some giant poofy wig things that are stronger because it only takes one of them to fight a rider, I guess.
Apparently.
Yeah. But as we check in with Yuki and Ran, they run, but Leo finds them, throws Yuki aside, and just holds the switch into Ran's face and like, press it, press it, press it. Which should be suspicious considering, you know, the last arc, they just kidnapped Yuki and just made her press the switch. It's like, wait a minute, you forced one of them to press the switch last time. Why aren't you doing it this time? Wait a minute, something's not right. But this is where Hayame arrives to try to stop this and tries to fight off Leo and gets his ass handed to him, because of course he does. By this point, I think Leo also gets back the Libra switch. Because that's important for later.
Yeah.
But seeing her principal get the shit kicked out of him prompts Ran to actually press the Zodiac switch and become Pisces, which, just for reference, since we don't get to see the Zodiac in between for her in full, apparently the Zodiac in between for her is Andromeda. I don't remember what Yuki's is. I don't know if we even get a good look at Yuki's. But we get a decent...
I don't think we did, actually.
But we get a decent silhouette look at Ran's Andromeda form before it becomes Pisces. So now as Pisces, she proceeds to attack Leo, which is where we check back in with Gentaro and Ryu, as we see them take out the goons, and they head off to join the fight. And they arrive to see Ran fighting Leo until Gamao arrives to have a nice little chat with Gentaro, since nobody's in the mood to fight when he arrives. And we end the episode with Gamao more or less going, your ideas are bullshit. Friendships don't matter. So, saying that to a man all about friendships, probably not a good thing. But this is where we pick up at episode 46, Aloof Acha. This is where Gamao goes Sagittarius and clears house on our riders. He tries to persuade Ran to join them, but fails. And just leaves. Since it's only a matter of time until you join up, so I'm okay with waiting. Which feels like once more one of those, wait a minute, you did put in a lot of work to get Yuki last time. This feels suspicious. Meanwhile, Kengo, who's I think already arrived as well at this point, has another of his attacks. And kind of has a moment where all the switches, including the horoscope switches, absorb into him, a la Cosmic, and it pops out the core switch, and then he presses it, and we hear a baby's cry, which we'll get back to that later.
Which, for anyone thinking it, yes, you are probably right.
Yeah.
Because I was already in the middle of thinking it, and I'm like, I bet, and yep. So
this is when we check in with Kamau and Leo back at their little hideout area, and we find out that Rand's switch is still blue, meaning it will not work properly with the others, so they're gonna have to wait out that one out.
Which I'm confused, because isn't this the only time that's ever happened?
This is in fact the only time that's ever happened.
It feels very plot convenient.
It feels like a way to extend this into 2 episodes instead of just 1.
Like I said, very plot convenient.
I think it's a case of we need it to be blue instead of red because it's incomplete and not fully operational just yet. Even because she hit the switch for the exact same reason when it will later turn red. But back in the episode, they also acknowledge Kengo is a problem, but it's not a priority of a problem because, like, we're fine. So back with the club, plus Naomi, minus Kengo and Yuki because they're not with the rest of the group. They're at the hutch, holed up, trying to figure out what the fuck to do. And we find out that, oh yeah, by the way, the horoscope switches are indestructible. As Gitro comes out of the testing room going, I can't break it. Nothing I do breaks it. And I'm like, that's not good. Also, Usugi starts finding out about everything because apparently the club decided to not tell him who Scorpio was.
I mean, probably for good reason, because look at what happened.
Yeah, I'm just like, wait a minute. Did the club not tell you anything when you joined up about like what the fuck was going on? Did they just decide to let it roll and be like, oh, he'll find out things appropriate?
What kills me is the fact that he was kind of surprised that Hayame was one of them, and it's like, wasn't he already told that someone at the school was dispersing the switches?
Yes.
Why is that surprising?
What's bad is that's in the part where he's inducted into the club as supervisor.
Like I said, why is that surprising?
Well, Hayame has a plan that he needs Gintro and Ryusei with to try to go after Kamau and try to get the switches before anything can go wrong. Meanwhile, we check in with Kengo, who's back at home, which is one of the rare times we get to see any of these people's homes. As Yuki's there to take care of him, and they do a bit of reminiscing, which is kind of nice, and also very much like planting a death flag.
Yep. A big neon one, actually.
Mm-hmm. But back with Gintro and crew, they end up finding the Red Room, where the horoscopes have been hanging out in. Unfortunately, when we check back in with Ran, Shun, and Miyu, because of course it's the 3 of them, there's a call into the Rabbit Hutch by Jake, except it's really by Leo, who says, by the way, I kidnapped your friend, come to the beach, fight me, bye. So, Ran, being, of course, the most competent fighter in the room, easily throws the two of them off and runs with the switch. Did they not learn from with Osuki to be like, do not leave these two here? They cannot keep anybody in the hutch.
At this point, I don't think anyone can be kept in the hutch.
True. So yeah, she takes her switch, ditches them. This is when we see Gintaro and Ryusei and Hayame are attacked by Gemini, except it's a Gemini clone, which decides to go boom on them. So Gintaro and Ryusei get out of the red room, and seemingly Hayame doesn't and is murdered.
Yeah, and you know, I kind of... It makes sense later.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me wonder, you know, why didn't they decide to ever go back and check on him?
They were too busy fighting the goons.
Okay, but even after?
Well, they got the call about Rand, so it's just like, ah, fuck, we gotta go deal with that now.
So someone could be almost dead, but one of their friends is in trouble, so that takes priority?
To be fair, he's an asshole, so it's just like, do we really need to?
I mean,
in reality, it's one less
trusting him.
Right, but it's one less problem for us.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not saying that they're in the wrong for doing that. I just kind of find that a little strange.
Yeah. Also, something I forgot to mention last week. But you know how Gintaro used his regular cell phone last week for a call?
Yeah.
But this week used the mag phone, and every other week before last week's he was using the mag phone?
Yeah.
Does that mean Gintaro has like two cell phones on him?
Possibly.
Like one's for Writer Club business, one's for not Writer Club business?
I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah. I just found it weird because it made this, what we get to in a little bit, made me remember that. But anyway, Gintaro and Ryusei now have to fight off more of those empowered goons, but a nice little team attack with the magnet switches takes care of them. Only for them to be called about the whole Rand situation, which Yugi then gets the call in the next scene while Kengo's busy with the flash drive data.
Which makes me wonder who actually called who. Because we don't really get direct on who called who.
Well, Gintaro called Yuki.
Maybe.
No, she says Gin when she answers the phone.
Okay. We also know a certain person has the ability to even mask voices.
True.
That like I said, that makes me wonder.
Yeah. Anyway, we head to the beach where Rand has her switch turn red, and she fights Leo for a little while until Fourze shows up. By the way, it's Libra because gotcha. He did not pull a traitor. It was a fake traitor.
Because apparently, at this point, no one's pulling a traitor.
Nope. The line in the sand has been made. We know everyone who's on what side. Nobody's crossing sides now. It's too late. We are literally 2.5 episodes from the finale, or from the end. We ain't got time for traitors. Anyway, this is when Rand's immediately busted out of her transformation, and the switch is taking. So Rand didn't last long on his horoscope.
And no one is shocked by that.
Nope. We do not have enough episodes for her to be around as support as Pisces. So we got to move on. So seeing this, because by now everyone has arrived besides Kengo and Yuki, Gintaro is of course pissed about this, immensely so, and proceeds to transform to fight Hayame.
To be fair, this is the point where I'm like, yeah, this arc makes you really hate Hayame.
which is hilarious because this guy played Garen back in Blade. Who, bear in mind, is a decent guy outside of his inability to choose the right kind of people to hang out with. He seems to always find a way to hang out with assholes.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
And assuming, like, one of the off the wall, what is it? I can't even think of the word for it. Net movies is taken as canon. This is actually Garen that has been brainwashed. I think it's not in canon, mind you, but it's a fun little goof.
That would be kind of funny.
Yeah. So yeah, Ryusei also transforms and he proceeds to fight Leo. And we have a bit of a fighting out and shouting of things until Sagittarius arrives and it's like, fucking enough of this, and starts just throwing arrows at our riders. And it's just like, fuck off. I got my 12. I'm not dealing with this. Let's fucking get this over with.
Yeah, it's one of those at this point, he does not care anymore.
Yep. So he starts his ascension to meeting the presenter, which is now just a presenter, not presenters, I believe. Because I believe it was plural before, but now it's singular. I don't know if that's a weird script change in between weeks of episodes.
And I don't know if it was that or if it might have been a weird translation.
Maybe. I'm not sure. It was weird to be like we went from plural to singular.
Yeah.
On a concept that is only here for motivation. Anywho, like I said, this is where Kingo arrives to more or less go, by the way, I got data that says Sagittarius is extremely vulnerable when he's going to pull this stunt, so blow him up.
Now.
So, while Ryusei's busy dealing with Leo, since Leo is his final boss, Gentro charges up the big sword move in Cosmic, only for Libra to take the hit, and he is extremely murdered, Team Rocket style, by flying off in the distance and exploding. So he's super dead. So seeing this failure, Kingo is immensely pissed and somehow manages to unleash the full power of the core switch and stops the ascension dead in its tracks. Sagittarius and Leo are a bit miffed by this and leave. And we end the episode with the core switch coming out of Kingo's body, revealing, yeah, he's had it the whole time.
I do kind of like the fact, too, that what led to that chain of events right there was the fact of Gummo saying something about basically friendship was, to put it lightly, was dumb kind of deal. And
pretty much.
That was what triggered him. And it's like, because I feel like that was meant to purposely play into how the show ends kind of deal.
More or less. So that gets us to our final two episodes. But any thoughts on these two? The Pisces, quote unquote, two-parter?
God, Hayame is such a dick.
He's
like
such
a dick.
Don't you love it when we have villains that are absolutely terrible and deserve to be blown the fuck up and do?
I just love it when we actually have villains that actually, try to be villains.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Schwartz. Looking at you.
Yeah. This makes me go, hey, why didn't we ever get this for Revolt and for Get 'em Now? Why aren't they just dead? Is it because they're writers? It's because we don't want to kill the writers. Even if they are absolutely irredeemable assholes.
I mean, now, get him, I think it's fine. Because he is, but he's also that comedic relief deal too, so he's fine. Evolt should just die.
I'm just going to put out there, both of them are far beyond the point of redemption. Beyond the point of redemption.
Oh, yeah. By no means am I saying that he's not, but he's the comedic relief more so than a villain kind of deal.
Yeah.
Whereas Evolt just needs to die.
Yeah. Instead of it being left to wander the galaxy.
Repeatedly.
Yeah. I like this, but I think this also showcases the fact that, yeah, we had to get through 12 villains, and we did not have enough episodes to do this. We maybe shouldn't have had to do 12 villains. Which means, I guess, the horoscopes needed a different theme?
I don't feel like the 12 horoscopes was the issue, especially seeing now that he just needed the switches from them.
Yeah.
I feel like the problems we didn't get to see it paced out properly in the show.
Yeah.
Like, if they had paced it out a little better, then it would have worked. And that's more of the complaint I have, is it was poor pacing in terms of in-game terms.
Yeah, especially when we finally get to the point where, oh look, Writer Club members are becoming Zodiarts, and we have to speed through them because it's literally the final two.
I mean, granted, to be fair though, they both kind of feel shoehorned in. Like, they could have probably been replaced with one of the other earlier ones and it would have worked. So, I think it more comes back to that pacing.
Well, shall we get to the final two episodes?
I guess we shall.
Alright then, as a quick note, these final two episodes for Fourze are edited together into a director's cut version. More or less all of the director's cut content is coming from the last episode, as there's a lot of extensions of fight scenes and at least one extra scene that I noticed. I say at least because there might have been another, but I didn't have the episodes side by side to double check and make sure. But yeah, I watched them in the normal 4-episode format, but then I did the notes with the director's cut just in case there was anything noteworthy that needed to be noted from the director's cut. So bear that in mind. Anyway, we pick up with episode 47, Parting Friends. We have a quick flashback back to 1969 and the launch of the Apollo 11, where a very young baby Kamau makes a promise to go to space. That is the short and long of his motivation now. There is no extension on this in the director's cut.
Man, I guess technically there doesn't really need to be.
There's not even any prompting that this is young Kamau until literally the end of the next episode.
That's kind of where the problem I run into it is.
Yeah, we don't get a transition to Kamau, from young Kamau to old Kamau in this. It's more or less just a case of, you have to assume it's Kamau, since he would be the only one old enough on the cast to be alive as a child in 1969. As I think he is probably the oldest person on the cast at the moment.
I'd say so.
Yeah, once we're out of this, we check in with most of the club, minus our core 3, who've regrouped at the hutch while our core 3 are out on a walk on the moon. Out there, and inside, I'm combining this together more or less because it's all like info dump of Kingo going, all right, I'm the core child. I was born when the core switch was pressed by my father, who him and Gamao were researching that switch to find a way to get to the presenters. My father wanted a slower method with the Fourze driver and the Astro switches. Gamao wanted a faster system with the horoscopes. We disagreed. Emoto killed him, took the switches, started his bullshit. My father left me with the Fourze driver and stuff. Emoto came by as Virgo, dropped me, grabbed me as a baby, dropped me off with family members, and that's, I think, everything. I think. Did I miss anything?
I think you pretty much covered it.
Yeah, that is a lot to take in immediately. Bear in mind, we've got 2 episodes left. We got to get through the exposition stuff.
To be fair, that's fitting that we get all of this dump at the end too.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a problem with that at all.
But we end all of this with finding out that Kingo himself is not a person. He's a sample of humanity in alien sort of cosmic energy goo shape, kind of like Nadeshko. And him plus the Fourze driver will allow him to transport to the presenter to show off how cool humanity is, I guess. We don't get that far into what the presenter's long-term plan for all of this seeding of these core switches at different intelligent species. Because I believe the dialogue also implies it's like, oh yeah, there's other intelligent life in the galaxy, I guess, because there's like multiple of these.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. I know you ran into one alien who's technically not an alien. She's more of a conglomerate of cosmic energy.
Yeah, a cosmic goo person.
Yeah. But you're just pretty much saying that just aliens exist. Like, I'm sure by this point in the larger franchise of Rider and Sentai and whatnot, aliens are so much a thing. There are so many alien species, I believe. But I'm like, you're just assuming that. But anywho, he's also saying that he has no emotions, which Gen and Yuki absolutely do not buy and are going to call him on that bluff a lot in the next, 5 minutes.
And for good reason.
Yep. So, Kengo heads off. Gentaro and Yuki follow him, because this is the final 2 episodes. This is the core 3 of the cast. They need to have their more or less their curtain call moments, so the focus is on them. The rest of the club is here to be here as the supporting cast, as they are.
Basically to say they did something.
Pretty much. Meanwhile, we check in with Gamao, who's trying to get his whole ascension stuff working, and seems to be failing, and he's a bit pissed about that. So he's like, I'm angry. I'm gonna go supernova and show off my totally not a rider form. Spoilers, it's kind of a rider form.
Yeah.
Because he needs to murder a space child, and he is super ready to murder a space child. Gamao, I think you've lost your ability to be likable.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway, we check back in with Kengo at his home as we see him writing a letter. There's a bit of extension on this in Director's Cut, but it's the same idea. Kengo saying, oh, I got no emotions. Gentaro and Yuki, we're calling your bluff. You totally have emotions. You're just trying to hide them because, this whole situation that just got dumped on us within the last 5 minutes, along with everything else. So, can we breathe, please? But then we check in with the rest of the club, who are, down about this whole situation, only for Leo to walk into the hutch. So Ryusei now has to fight him, untransformed first, and then in rider form, because, yes, Koichi Sakamoto is directing these 2 episodes, so of course there are more fight scenes. Unfortunately, Ryusei is not going to beat his final boss just yet, so he's kind of jobbed out, and the hut is attacked and stuff, and slowly dismantled. Did you ever transition off the title card?
Why, heck no, I didn't. I forgot to. Oops.
I just looked over at the dashboard and saw that it was, and I'm just like, oh, whoops.
Oops. Oops.
Sorry about that. I probably should have looked over there sooner.
Not like anyone besides the bot was posting in chat. And that's really the only thing that matters as far as switching over.
Yep. So yeah, the hutch is attacked, which means, there's something probably there might have been a hole put in it to space, but if not yet, don't worry. It's okay. Nobody's in trouble yet. So while this is happening, we're back at JAXA one last time, as Gintaro and Yuki finally get Kengo to open up that, yeah, I'm faking this all because I'm scared as fuck and I don't want to leave, and this is a lot to try to handle right now on my own because I'm leaving on my own. But Gintaro and Yuki do their best to support him with tears and all, and it's a pretty emotional moment for them, and what is going to be the second most emotional thing they have to deal with in these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Outside, they run into Isugi, who managed to escape the rabbit hutch, or at least was let go so he could go tell Gintaro and Kengo, hey, guess who's attacking the hutch right now? So while he's passed out on the sidewalk with no one looking after him, so
way to go, everyone.
Priorities. Gintaro and the others head out. They arrive at the hutch to find it practically obliterated, with the club barely beaten up, and Gamao and Leo waiting for them. Gintaro transforms and tries to fight off the pair, the 2 of them breaking through the window in the hutch, letting all the air escape, so everyone has to leave besides Ryusei and Kengo, since Ryusei has a belt and Kengo doesn't need air to breathe, apparently.
Air's overrated anyhow.
Yeah, while they're evacuating, Kengo passes off his letter to Yuki before she leaves. Gintaro manages to fight off Leo and Sagittarius long enough to buy an opening for Ryusei to come in with Kengo. Extend his, comet thing large enough, I guess, to let Gintaro pass off the driver to Kengo.
That I don't think is actually ever stated in the show that can happen.
This is the first and only time it happens, is because we need to do it this way, so because otherwise we gotta go back into the hutch and then Kengo has to come out and
No, we can't go back in the hutch.
No, Kengo pulled the lever to close up the window.
Oh well, that's true. I forgot about that, actually.
But again, they have to go back into the hutch to do this, and then Kengo have to leave to transform, and then what happens later. So it's one of those. We need to streamline this. This is literally the end of the second to last episode. We cannot waste time. So yeah, they have their goodbyes. Gintaro and Ryusei head back into the hutch. They watch as Kengo activates the driver, is transporting out, only for Gamao to come in, go supernova, and deliver a horoscope kick directly to Kengo, killing him. Granted, the kick doesn't kill him and it incapacitates him, but he grabs the switch and breaks it, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
We end the episode with Gentaro rightly pissed about this and screaming. Which, you know, is a pretty dark place to end our episode on. As we go into episode 48, the final episode, Youthful Galaxy. Gamao and Leo come in very casually, as Gamao literally just tosses Gentaro, the Fourze driver, as a nice little memento before leaving. I love how casual he is right now.
Yeah, he's got that I've already won air to him.
It's like, what could you do? The two of you can't fight me. Neither of you can beat Leo as well. What are you gonna do? So the two of them leave. Gentaro, you say, end up having to leave the hutch as well, as it's, you know, on fire and exploding. But they manage to grab the Rider Club flag, or what remains of it, because it's burned and tattered. And they leave the hutch, and exploding, the pathway exploding as well, meaning they can't go back to the moon anymore. I hope they didn't have anything important left on the moon.
Yeah, because if they did, then it's all just kind of floating there.
Yeah, it's either floating there or just got tossed off the moon if it got like flung hard enough. So as Gamao comes out here, he's happy as can be, and he's happy that like the rest of the club's not hurt, and he invites them to enjoy his soup because they've only got like 1 day left alive before he leaves. So, it'll be a nice day. This is when Gentaro and Ryusei kind of come out of the door as it's exploding. So the club heads to one of the classrooms in the school that night and regroups, where we see Yuki read Kengo's letter. And just as a quick note from the notes from the wiki, this scene right here, this whole Yuki reading the letter scene, is apparently the final scene for Fourze that was filmed.
Oh, really?
Yep. Kengo is on set for the filming of this scene, and he's actually reading his letter off set, I guess just to make sure all the timing stuff is right. Since that's a thing they do. So, yeah, when you see that there's a lot of emotions about this, yeah, that's because for the most part, this is the last time the cast is together outside of like the stage show, which I assume it was done after the finale. Like, this is it. And this is also funny because of a later scene in this same episode. But anyway, as Yuki's reading Kengo's letter, he's more or less delivering what is pretty much his last will. Giving little thoughts to everybody from his interactions and stuff. And even noting that he didn't really interact with Ryusei that much. But he's happy for him. But yeah, it's really nice and sweet. And he ends on it by saying that they shouldn't hate Gamao for what he's done. Which feels weird, but
yeah.
it fits the show. But on that note, the club rallies, and they are ready for the final fight. Which brings us to the next day, as we see Yusuke try to inform the staff about like what the fuck's going on, about about we're all about to fucking die and shit, and nobody believes him except now Nagasawa's character, who believes him and just does her kick thing to calm him down. And also because we need to remind you, oh yeah, she's here. She hasn't appeared since the movie. And before then, I don't remember the last time she appeared.
I don't actually know either.
Yeah. There's an extra scene right here that is more or less Leo explaining, oh yeah, my evolution has gone far enough that like when the switch goes, I'm dead. So that explains a thing with him later. It's one of those weird things of this is here to explain a thing that doesn't need to be explained in this genre, I feel like. Anyway, this is when Gamao gives his final speech, more or less claiming responsibility for everything and saying, by the way, this is the last day y'all gonna be alive because when I go to see the presenter, y'all gonna get blown up, so bye. But as he's delivering his speech, we cut it around the school, seeing everyone's reactions, and we end on the cafeteria where Gentro is enjoying a bowl of Gamao soup as he preps, and we see him walk through the hallway, just like in the opening, battered and bruised, but ready for a fight.
Because that's just how he is.
Yep. I love that they parallel that scene. So he regroups the club. Everyone is prepped and ready to fight, except Gentro tells the club that only him and Ryusei are heading to the front lines of this fight because the club has another role to play elsewhere, and that's where they're needed more than the front lines. We don't get to see what just yet, because we cut to our riders riding directly into the conflict, transforming along the way. And as they arrive, they have to fight off a bunch of Dostards to the tune of, I believe, Perfect Game. I believe Perfect Game is playing, like it did before for a bite sequence. So we get some bike action with the Dostards before they split off to their respective fights. So Ryusei fights Leo in his base form, while Gentro goes Rocket States to pull Gamao out of the sky to force him to fight. Which I love that every single one of Gentro's forms, besides Fusion, gets to be used in this episode. Once more, because Koichi Sakamoto directing this, so of course it does. So we keep with Gentro and Gamao, as Gentro more or less tells Gamao, I'm going to turn out every single bit of your hatred and your despair and all of that, I'm going to turn it around on you and friend the fuck out of you. Which I love that that's Gentro's answer to the solution of just, I'm going to beat you hard enough that you're going to be my friend. So this is where we see Gentro more or less throw everything in his arsenal at Gamao. He goes from that to base states real quick for some punches and kicks, to elect states to do some sword play, to rocket states to do a gun attack, to magnet states to try to beat him up with that, to cosmic, and we kind of cut away after cosmic because we got to check in with Ryusei and Leo, who is fed up with Leo and decides, fuck it, I got a full power setting on this Beyblade, I'm gonna fucking use it.
Gonna let it rip.
Yep. He throws it at him, Leo deflects it, but Ryusei just deflects it right back at him and manages to stagger him long enough that Ryusei charges up a rider kick, pretty much saying, oh, you want to die for Gamao? Then fucking do it, because I'm not dying for Gentro. I will live to see tomorrow, and I will not lose to someone who accepts death so easily, and proceeds to rider kick the fuck out of him. So hard that it breaks both their transformations mid-kick.
Which is kind of fitting for him.
Yep. But that decides Leo's fate because he dies cracking one last nut. So, that's Leo done. We're down to one horoscope.
And to be fair, that sounds way worse than it actually is.
Yeah. Checking back in with Gentro, and this is the part where the scene is extended. There's an extension part here before Gentro, or extended part before Gentro does the big sword slash. Once more, just kind of saying what he's trying to do. But Gentro more or less tells Gamao, your ideas suck. Look at your school. This is literally a galaxy of people who have come together, made themselves better, and are helping each other create better versions of themselves. I will not let that be destroyed. You are wrong in every conceivable way. But they end up trading rider kicks which lets Gentaro get an opening with the sword to open up a work gate, and he drags Gamao back to the school because he needs to attend his graduation ceremony. If you're confused, stay with me on this. Because this is where the club shows back up. Because the club are holding its graduation ceremony to graduate the school from being under Gamao's control. And this is them saying goodbye. So while each member of the club explains how the school has actually helped them, even though it was founded for very malicious reasons, Gentaro, who at this point detransforms of his own accord, is punching the shit out of Gamao in his supernova form.
And actually knocking him back.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a really nice moment. And in the director's cut, every time one of the club members gives like their speech, we see clips over the course of the series of them to show how far they've come, which is another nice touch.
Yeah, that is.
But once they all say their words, Gentaro transforms into his base states. He doesn't go cosmic. He doesn't go any of his other forms. Nope, just regular old Fourze, because it is time to bequeath to Gamao his graduation present, a rider kick.
To the face.
Directly to the face. So Gentaro activates Rocket Drill, goes in for the rider kick, and once it connects, he jams on the limit break throttle. Well, not once, not twice, but thrice, to do a big, major rider kick, finally destroying Sagittarius. And he does it after he lands and says that he's representing the entire class, or the entire school, as Kamen Rider Fourze, Kisaragi Gentaro, in what is a really, really badass moment. I cannot do this moment justice.
At all. Because, like, this moment just...
It's so good.
Completely screams the entire show.
Yeah. If you have not gotten the point of the show by now, this entire scene is here to tell you the theme of the show. It's so good. Anywho, the ceremony is put to the stop, as we see from Ryusei's perspective, and Gamao accepts his defeat, as Gentaro tells him, "Hey, let's be friends." And he gets the handshake from Gentaro. Gentaro has not only beaten his foe physically, but also mentally, and now has friend the fuck out of him. This is the Gentaro way of fighting. Unfortunately, Gamao is on borrowed time. Much like Leo, he's not living. So he leaves, telling Gentaro and the club to keep the promise that he made to meet the presenters in Kengo's place. And we end with him at a playground, regretting that he couldn't keep the promise he kept, and hoping the presenters are nice or good to his students as he fades away. So we cut to the next day. Gentaro and Yuki are at the bridge that we started this series at. Gentaro supremely full circle, because he is ready to throw Kengo's letter away as a way to move on for the both of them, only to be stopped by Kengo himself, who is alive and fully human, saying that he should at least read the letter before throwing away, because it's hilarious, because in metatext, they haven't read the letter yet. Because they haven't filmed that scene yet.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. That's what made me laugh.
Actually kind of funny then.
Yep. But we see that Kingo is alive because Gamao, in his last moments, turned into Aquarius and fixed the core switch that he's apparently had the entire time and pressed it, reviving Kingo and turning him human. So I guess you can just do that. Oh well, we ain't got time to explain it.
I do also love the little touch that Kingo doesn't do it word for word, but pretty much parrots the exact same sentiments that Gentro said to him to begin with.
Yep. So the three celebrate Kingo's revival and are just happy that, hey, the club's all here again. And we got a nice little few scenes of epilogues checking in with the rest of the club. Usugi, along with the rest of the teachers, are going to take charge of the school since, nobody else above them is still kicking. We don't have a director or his secretary, who's Leo, or the principal, or who knows who else at this point. So, I guess we're just running the school now. We check in with Ryusei. We see him heading back to his old school with Tomoko and Jake sending him off. Only for Ryusei to confirm that, oh yeah, the person everyone kept calling was my girlfriend is not my girlfriend. I kind of don't have a girlfriend. So Tomoko has her shot, and Jake very much ships the fuck out of them. Not only is one member of this club a shipper, two of them are. Miyu and Shun are also happy, enjoying the college life. And Shun gives Miyu a ring for not proposal reasons, because he doesn't drop the knee and do the whole thing. I think it's just a ring just to give her a ring. Unfortunately, some guy in red pants and a leather jacket with some red ring distracts her, and she likes his ring better. I don't know who this guy is. Do you know who this guy is?
I mean, he seems familiar, but I'm not sure right offhand.
For reference, this is actually Haruto, fully Haruto, because this actor, we see his face, so it is Haruto. It's just here just to make a quick cameo before he heads off, because his series starts next week.
With the proper wizard ring.
Yep.
Being the reason why he wanted the bigger ring.
To be fair, it is a very large ring.
Yes.
We end with Ran and Haru checking in with our core three. Happy and okay as the Space Kamen Rider Club gathers together, ready to go friend the fuck out of some aliens.
Quite literally.
Even though they've already done that with one, but whatever. Two, yeah. We're gonna go friend some more. And that is Kamen Rider Fourze and the final two episodes. How'd you feel after this long 48 episode journey?
Oh boy. I feel like I can understand why you kind of put this one lower than Double and O's.
Yeah.
Because there is some minor issues, but it's like, honestly, they're minor, and I think it more boils down to they needed 2 seasons really to properly do it.
Yeah, we needed more episodes. Yeah, we needed more episodes to do this large cast and this large set of villains and stuff, and it's just like, but what we got is still good.
Yeah. It makes me wonder how much the writers and all of them kind of had to throw away just so that they didn't try to push too much in it. Because it definitely feels like there's some thoughts that were supposed to be there, but they just kind of had to fall through the cracks in order to make it end when it did, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, I liked it.
Yeah, Fourze, still a really good season in my opinion. Not as strong as Double and O's, but it's still really good. I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to rewatch Wizard now to see if I feel better about Wizard. Because I think I might feel better about Wizard, to be honest.
Maybe.
Because Wizard is like the lower end of the shows I've liked. And like Fourze was kind of down there too, but now I'm like, no, it was still pretty strong. Maybe it's one of those cases of Wizard is better as a not week to week show, but better as a binge show.
Maybe.
Oh, but something for another day for me. Since you've been rewatching Drive recently.
Which I kind of need to get back to.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I encourage anyone, give Fourze a chance. It's a really good series. But we are not quite done with our space heroes, because they have one final appearance to make. Because they got to go team up with Wizard for their proper crossover. So next week, we're taking a look at that. And also, weirdly enough, as the last thing we need to do for Wizard himself, from back in the original TGSR days, because next week we're taking a look at Movie Tyson Ultimatum. And oh boy, that's it might be a little bit more of a mixed bag. Because you know how we did Foundation X last week? Or last time in this crossover?
Yeah.
What if we just didn't and also had a very oddball finale in terms of a final fight? That made you question, wait a minute, how large of a mountain were they standing on? Also, how do you feel about skis?
As in, like, in fight kind of deal, or just
yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yes.
Oh
yeah.
boy.
How do you feel about a fight scene revolving around skis in skiing down a mountain?
All I can say is I hope it's a long mountain.
Apparently it is a very, very long mountain because it encompasses the entire fight. The final fight, mind you.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Ultimatum is... There's a reason Ultimatum is not as good as Megamax. Even though it one-ups Megamax in the fact that Axel, Birth, and Meteor, and the Neshko all get to be a part of it. But anyway, until then, if you like what you're following, or if you like what you're watching, drop us a follow. We really appreciate it. We are 6 follows away from our follower goal. Just 6 more follows. We got a Discord, !Discord in chat. We'll get you the link. Drop on by. If you got questions, we got a Dropbox for them in our show chats. Drop us a question. We'll happily answer it here or on our other podcast, TGS, depending on which one it is more relevant on. And finally, at TG Saloon on Twitter, we'll let you know when we go live. So drop that a follow if you want updates. Anyway, that'll do it for me and for Tommy. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.